Here's a video of Konstantin Kisin defending Israel. Check it out.
The idea that you could possibly negotiate with these people when they continue to promise to repeat their terrorist attack. The man who was killed today was appointed to replace the man who was assassinated, who was the previous leader of Hamas, in order to demonstrate the commitment to this. Jeremy Bowen of the BBC just a few days ago interviewed one of the leaders of Hamas who refused to commit to his two-state solution, who refused to abandon the cause of terrorism. My point to you is there's an option on the table for Hamas, which is to hand back the hostages they've taken, to withdraw the threat that they have given repeatedly through their various leaders, to repeat the terrorist attack of October 7th, to hand over the terrorists who committed those atrocities for justice, and then Israel, of course, must immediately stop hostilities and negotiate for peace, of course.
I think this logic that you do what we want or we'll keep bombing you, it sounds exactly what a Hamas leader would say, because the number of dead on October 7th, that's been life in Gaza almost every year at the hands...
You're damn right. You do what we want or we keep bombing you. That's what war is. You think they told Germany in World War II, well, you know, do whatever you want and, you know, we're not going to bomb you. No. That is how you get what you want in war. You apply military pressure and make them give you what you want. It sounds barbaric. What? Like Britain, you think Britain told, you think Winston Churchill was like, please, Adolf, please just surrender. Please, can you please surrender? No. He said, if you don't, we are going to keep coming at you until you surrender.
Of Israeli bombardment. If you want to talk about hostages, look at the thousands of Palestinians held in military detention, often...
Many of them who've attacked Israelis
and many of whom who have never been convicted of anything, including children and a woman in her 80s with Alzheimer's. If what you want to do is go down a road and go, okay, unless you do what we want...
Do you agree that Hamas should hand back the hostages? Should they hand back?
Of course I do. And
okay.
there should
also be a ceasefire. Let's call on them to do that.
I haven't finished this thought. Right? If you keep going down this road, that violence can be endless until you do what we want, that is the exact same logic that you are decrying.
Okay. No, right, I'm saying Hamas should hand back the hostages. Do you agree with that? Do you agree that they should withdraw the threat of repeating October 7th?
I've said repeatedly that there should be a ceasefire for hostages.
But should they withdraw the threat of repeating October the 7th? Should they hand back the hostages? Should they hand over the terrorists who killed...
Why are you repeating questions I've answered?
You haven't answered. You've said you've called for a ceasefire, but you haven't said that that's what they should do.
For hostages is what
and should they hand over the terrorists who committed October 7th?
I think that anyone who's committed war crimes, Hamas, IDF, whoever should be held accountable.
All right, so the BBC cut him off there. I think that Konstantin Kisin was making a very simple point that, you know, Israel shouldn't be expected to come to the table with Hamas if they're not ready to negotiate. And Hamas has continually led along Steve Witkoff and other negotiators. We want to come to the table. And then they just use that pause to humiliate Israel by treating their hostages terribly when they release them, to continue to rearm, and to basically, drag on the negotiations for as long as possible, but never to actually surrender and never to actually give up anything substantial. For more, subscribe to the channel. If you want to help us make more of these videos, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JewishUncensored. And one more point, very simply, if Israel negotiates for hostages, they are securing and ensuring that other hostages will be taken in the future. Now, what do I mean by that? When you say to a terrorist group, we are willing to give up anything for these hostages, we are willing to end the war for the hostages, then terrorist groups will say, oh, they're basically in the palm of our hand the second we take a few of their hostages. Let's do more of that. Let's continue to do that. And so the only way to disincentivize hostage taking and to avoid that situation in the future is to basically say, if you take our hostages, we will destroy you until you give them back. There's no negotiation. There's no sitting down at the table. There's no, we'll give you 50 terrorists for one hostage. None of that. Very simply, you take our hostages, you're done. And then terrorist groups will be like, oh, they don't trade anything for the hostages. So now we're not going to divest tons of resources into taking hostages in the future. That is just my take. I think that it is absurd that Israel, the entire Israel, should be held hostage because of a few hostages that are taken. I think it's obviously terrible for the families, and I think that, Israel should go in and rescue them. But you cannot expect Israel to come to the table for 50-something hostages that are remaining and basically put the entire Israel in jeopardy. The entire Israel's security in jeopardy. Again, subscribe to the channel for more. Our main channel at Jewish Uncensored was demonetized, so you can go to buymeacoffee.com/JewishUncensored to support us. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.